Hello there, people of the internet. Times change. And if we want to adapt and overcome whatever adversities we might be facing in the changing times, we have to come up with solutions based off of what it is that realistically we might face ourselves or face up against in a, like I said, realistic standpoint, just as United States citizens. This video is going to be about the best cartridge for the modern prepper here in the United States as of right now, 2025. And I really do think that this right here is going to be the best one. So, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, your com block rounds, like say 7.62 by 39 and 7.62 by 54R, you could pick those up for a pretty insignificant amount of money. However, like I said, times have changed. Maybe those were good prepper rounds back in the day to be able to pick up for, again, not a lot of money. You could stack it deep for cheap. But nowadays, we are looking at a significantly higher cost for even the cheap, corrosive, bottom-of-the-barrel surplus ammo for these common rounds, just due to certain things like embargoes and restrictions and whatnot. And as a result of that, prices have, in fact, raised. So what was once a really good option no longer is. As a matter of fact, as of time of recording this right now, you can get brass case surplus 5.56 ammo for pretty significantly cheaper than you can get, say, 7.62 by 39, even the cheap, quote-unquote, cheap steel case ammo. So if you are going to be going with a round for prepping, 5.56 is definitely a really good option, but I do not think that it is the best option because although it is less expensive than what com block ammo has become, simply because we're manufacturing it on a mass scale domestically here in the United States, it is still quite expensive. And whenever I say quite expensive, I don't mean it's like completely break the bank expensive, but you're still looking at about 50 cents a round. You might get it for like 45 cents a round if you buy in bulk, but after shipping and taxes and maybe you got transfer fees and whatnot going on wherever it is that you're at, it's still gonna equate to about 50 cents a round, maybe a little bit more than that even. Now, I would not recommend going with remanufactured stuff just because that stuff is notoriously unreliable, so I would just kind of steer away from that as best as you can. However, that being said, from a prepper's standpoint, the likelihood of something going wrong in a mass scale is pretty small. However, what is likely is maybe you're in an area that suffers from natural disasters. Like I'm here in Florida, we get hurricanes oftentimes several times a year, and power goes down, water levels raise. Being able to utilize the society around you to be able to get things for yourself, like there's times where that doesn't happen for weeks at a time. So you're kind of on your own with whatever it is that you have, and so as a result of that, you're basically limited to what it is that you have, and so getting as much as possible for as cheaply as possible is probably going to be your best bet. So I think that the best bang for the buck cartridge, hear me out on this before you go angrily typing down in the comments below, like, oh, you're wrong, how dare you even bring that up. But I think the best bang for your buck cartridge is going to be your humble little 9mm. Again, listen to what I have to say before you go angrily typing in the comments down below. 9mm is not exactly a powerhouse of a cartridge. However, if you think that 22 long rifle is powerful enough to be able to handle most things that most people would need to handle, and I don't know, maybe you have some experience with some poaching of some kind, and you've seen what 22 long rifle can do. If you think that 22 long rifle is a good viable option, then 9mm is a better option, just because 9mm, your cheapo steel case 115 or your cheapo steel case 115 grain ammo is going to move like 1,100 feet per second. That 9mm out of a handgun at 1,100 feet per second is going to have more energy at 200 yards. Maybe it's 300 yards. We're going to go ahead and just call it 200 yards. It's going to have more energy at 200 yards than a 22 long rifle will at the muzzle. So if 22 long rifle will work, 9mm will work. Don't go thinking 9mm is some weak cartridge that can't handle anything if you also think the 22 long rifle is good enough to be able to handle the things that you want to handle. So now that we got that argument out of the way, 9mm can be very potent. Depending on the cartridge it is that you get, depending on the round that you get, there's some very potent ammunition out there. One of the best ones that I've seen is your cheap, it's a Winchester. It's like a Winchester brown box. It's a Winchester high pressure 9mm. And from a carbine length barrel, like say a 16-inch like what I have right here, I've seen that stuff get chronographed moving 1,600 feet per second, which is fast for a 9mm, even out of a long barrel. If you don't believe me, look it up, because that's about the average velocity those things move, anywhere from 1,550 to 1,600 feet per second. That is some spicy ammo, and I'm telling you right now, a 115 grain bullet moving at those velocities can do quite a few things. 9mm from a carbine like this right here, it's not exactly a sniper rifle of a round, but within 100 yards, you can be quite accurate with it. This particular high point that I got right here, I get about 4 MOA out of it, which is nothing to write home about, but it's got the same level of accuracy as your, like, budget tier AR platform. So if your PSA or your Anderson or your Radical Firearms AR-15 or whatever it is that you have, if that is accurate enough for you, then something like this would also be accurate enough for you, seeing as they're both going to get between 3, 4, maybe 5 MOA depending on ammo and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely accurate enough. It can touch a human torso out at like 200 yards with boring regularity. I'm willing to bet on that. Now, all of that being said, the 5.56, of course, is going to have more power for putting down whatever it is that you're firing at, but the 9mm rounds that you're firing are going to have adequate power for putting down whatever it is that you're firing at, especially from a longer barrel, especially if you're going to rock something that's like a hollow point or some sort of bullet style that is a better round than just your full metal jackets. A lot of times whenever people are stockpiling things, they'll stockpile full metal jackets because that's the cheaper option. But you can go out and get hollow point, like, you can get hollow point bulk ammunition. I almost said surplus ammunition, but hollow point bulk ammunition for around the same price as those full metal jackets. The issue is the full metal jacket is just the most predominant round on the market, so you got to do a little bit of looking around in order to find yourself some hollow points. But the bottom line is, at most of the distances that most of us would be capable at, I'd say we probably cut off at around 200 yards in terms of our capabilities with accuracy. Unless you're able to touch beyond that, in which case you are definitely not a part of the normal. You are exceptional if you're accurate beyond 200 yards. Most people in the United States haven't even touched a gun. So they get pie plate accuracy at like 25 yards whenever they do finally get around to touching a gun. Most people don't have any training whatsoever, so the likelihood of them being accurate enough to take aimed shots at 200 yards with even a precision rifle is quite low. And that's one of the main reasons why I think that the capabilities of the average person, along with the needs of the average person, your 9mm should be able to handle most of those things. But the big thing with the 9mm is you can stack it really deep for really cheap. As just a general rule, you can get yourself a case of 1,000 rounds of cheapo 9mm for, like, we're going to call it 200 to 250 bucks. It's not exactly 22 long rifle levels of cheap, but with 22 long rifle, it definitely has a lot of limitations with the cartridge, and the 9mm circumvents many of those limitations, including being centerfire, so you can reload the thing in the event that you have to. It's extraordinarily lightweight, extraordinarily small. It's about the same weight of a 5.56, but it's significantly smaller. Like, for example, you can carry around a 50-round box of 9mm for less than the size of a standard AR mag, carrying only 30 rounds of 5.56 ammo. So you can carry a lot of ammunition with you on person, especially if you, like, say, dump your 9mm rounds into an ammo tin or something like that, to where you don't have the filler of the cardboard and the plastic and whatnot holding those in place. Then you can carry a lot of 9mm ammunition with you for not a whole lot of weight, especially for the cause. Now, maybe with your cost, again, shipping and transfer fees, and maybe you got certain rules and restrictions on what it is that you have to do whenever it comes to buying ammunition, it might be a little bit more expensive for you. But your one round of 9mm, you could get, well, your one round of 9mm is about half the cost of your 5.56 round. And I get it, 5.56 is going to be a more effective round. But again, the needs of most people and the capabilities of most people, they won't be able to utilize the effectiveness of that cartridge. Most people are going to need to be able to pull that trigger more times simply because they have difficulty hitting their target, especially in a stressful situation. And I'm willing to bet that most of your engagements in some sort of bad sort of situation is going to be within yelling distance. You're going to be able to vocally determine what is going on and listen to what's going on around you, because that's just how humanity is. Whenever somebody is provoked, normally it's their ego that leads to some sort of confrontation, not unless we have like really, really bad times where people are starting to become marauders and scavengers and they're going to try and come and take what it is that you have, in which case things have gotten really, really bad. And by those points, I'm willing to bet that a lot of us are probably gone, myself included. I'm not exactly somebody who would do all that great in the apocalypse, but I can try to be as prepared as possible. And having the capability to pull that trigger and have it go bang more times, like literally twice the number of times for the amount of cost, is just going to be a better option. Not only that, but you also get the compatibility with your firearms having the same type of ammunition. Like, for example, I got this 9mm, I could have myself a long gun in 9mm and a handgun in 9mm. If you get yourself a Glock, that takes, say, Glock mags, and then you get yourself, I don't know, an AR pattern of rifle that also takes Glock mags, you also have magazine interchangeability. This way you only have to worry about the logistics for one particular cartridge, and that one particular 9mm cartridge should be adequate enough to handle most of the things that most people would need to handle in most of your situations. Now, I'm not saying don't go out and get yourself, say, an AR platform, especially at the prices that you can normally get them at, but go out and get yourself an AR in the event that you need it, and maybe, I don't know, stack 1,000 rounds, stack 5,000 rounds, stack however much ammo it is that you think that you need for it. But once you get to the point to where you feel comfortable with it, rather than grabbing another case of 5.56 ammo, why not just go grab 2 cases of 9mm, because that's more ammunition in your pocket that you can send, downrange to handle the job, from a platform that is going to be effective enough to be able to handle the job that you found yourself needing to do. So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to include in this video. I think I covered all of the topics. So I'm just going to do the outro. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.